Make a motion to approve the agenda for that. Speakers are on stage. Where is this? No, one second. All right, so we have a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Can we get a second, please?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, so motion has been approved and seconded by Ms. Peterson. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. All right, ayes have it. Motion carries 6-0. Our mission statement. Together, which I don't have it in front of me. Let me see if I can remember all of it. Together with our families and communities, we will enable our students to be passionate thinkers, passionate leaders, creative thinkers to enrich our world. Innovative leaders to enrich our world. Woo, yeah. All right. Almost had it, not quite though. All right, so up first is the district administrator's report, Dr. Brown.
Yes, good evening, board members. Good evening. Happy Tuesday. I just have a few updates this evening. First, I would like, can you all hear me? You can hear me? Okay. First, I'd like to read a letter that we received yesterday from the Department of Public Instruction. It reads, Dear Dr. Monica Kelsey Brown, the Department of Public Instruction recently completed the review of the elementary and secondary school emergency relief free out-of-school time grant applications. The department is pleased to share that the Brown Deer School District has been chosen to receive $448,329 to implement the plan submitted in your application. And so that's a celebration for us.
Absolutely.
Once the award has been formally issued in the DPI portal, which is Wise Grants, you will be required to submit a budget, which we will work on, that aligns with your approved application proposal and the awarded amount. Please note that the annual award is effective on December 1st, 2022 through September 30th, 2024. So this is a grant that was out there. Many of you may or may not know, we work with Susan Stuckert. She's our grant writer. She and Dr. Garrison collaborated on this effort. And so we were awarded the grants, and it really focuses on mostly our 6th through 12th grade population with after school tutoring, increasing the number of students who are proficient in reading and math. We will provide additional mental health services for our students. We will administer our youth risk behavior survey and work to provide more intentional support for our students with high levels of anxiety and depression. Ms. Brown at the high school has been eager to hire a college and career access coordinator for the high school. So this will allow us to do that. The individual work with our students in the area of college applying for college. Working on the FAFSA. As we know, the FAFSA is a barrier in and of itself. So the person will assist with that. Students will also be able to take more college tours, which will be exciting. And then we have a family engagement piece. So those are the goals that we set for this particular grant. So we believe the activities will take place after school, Monday through Thursday from 3 to 5:30. So that's what we're looking at. And no one knows if you are the first to do this.
Wow, that is awesome.
Congratulations.
So the 448,000, is that? It says annual award. At least that's what you read. So
Right.
is that what we'll get every year between this time period?
No.
Or is that
That's a great question. I will clarify. I believe we should look at it in terms of half of that in year one and half in year
Okay.
two.
okay?
Don't think we're getting 8.
Well,
Yeah,
that would be
lovely.
wonderful.
Yeah. But I looked at it as dividing it, in half
Between the two
between
years.
2 years.
Okay, all right.
That's a great
That's
question.
awesome.
Yeah, So that's a little bit about the most recent grant that we received. And so between our CLC grant that we were just awarded and in this particular grant, that's close to $1 million in additional dollars for Brown Deer. So that's amazing.
Yes.
And we are pleased to report that we had the 2 safety meetings at the first one was at the middle high school on December 1st. We did not have as many parents as I would have liked, but the parents who came were involved and engaged in asking questions about our safety updates, which I will talk about a little later, a little further down the agenda. And then the other one was at the elementary school last Thursday, December 8th. And there were 2 parents at the elementary school. So we are expecting to figure out a way to engage more parents in the conversations around the safety and security as we continue to improve upon what we're doing in that area. So we'll continue to work on that, but
We had 2 parents.
at the elementary school. And yes,
Many at the high school.
the middle high school, I would say there are about between 15 to 20 maybe parents.
But
That
it didn't seem like it was that many. It was a lot of staff and.
I thought. So there were, I don't know, I would say between,
They were family.
right, like,
There were a number of kids, yeah.
so maybe, and we outnumbered, you know, administration did. But all of them about 15 to 20 people.
So moving forward, I know that people might be used to the whole virtual and being able to do this virtual. Is this something that you possibly could do virtually to offer people access at least, or an opportunity to participate?
Yes, that could be an option. What hindsight is 2020, perhaps we should have recorded.
Yep, that one.
And then we could have posted to the website. Mhm. But we're also going to take a look at maximizing our PAC meetings where, so for example, I came to the PAC meeting last night, there were about 6 parents here. But if we're going to find a way to work with Ms. Shimmons to get more parents to be involved and engaged in that. I thought there would be more because there seemed to be interest in that.
Absolutely.
But we just have to figure out a different way.
People just
Right.
tend to show up when there's something that they're immediately upset about.
Concerned about,
But
right.
otherwise,
Just regarding the PAC meetings, I go to the virtual ones and generally they're more at the virtual, but it is good that Mrs. Shimmons makes virtual.
We alternate.
I spoke to her about it, and there are more that come to the virtual one, which isn't good because if you miss the next one, you don't get to see, and I go to the elementary one too, you don't get to see the progression of the agenda, so it's not like it's not dual, but it's all from. So that.
So it doesn't end with those 2 meetings. We'll just have to figure out some other strategies to employ.
Okay.
To get more parents involved
okay.
in that process. So that occurred last night. As I stated, I did attend the PAC meeting. And just had some really good conversations with parents who were here. Like I said, there were about 6 or 7 parents. That was middle high school last night. I had an opportunity to meet with the parents from the girls' basketball team. We did have a incident at Whitnell where it was perceived as racial for our students and our parents, their experiences. So I did meet with our parents yesterday and I will follow up with administration from the Whitnell School District. So that was last night. We are working on our combined giving campaign. So we have a goal of $5,000 to raise for the combined giving campaign with hopes of the majority of the dollars going back to the Ed Foundation. So our last day for that is tomorrow. Ms. Ramos and I had an opportunity to, we traveled to Lambeau Field today for a professional development session entitled Dare to Lead. And it really was a great session in terms of being brave and continuing to have the courage to lead in the midst of some continued trying times. They're not what they were, but we still are navigating a contentious climate in some instances. So that was great professional development, put on by Discovery Education. And then just a reminder to everyone, our first strategic planning session will take place on Monday from 9 to 3 at Concordia University in Mequon. So just a little bit about what we've been, or I say I, but it's really a we, I can't do this by myself, what we've been working on for the past few weeks. And if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
All right, any questions for Dr. Brown? All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Next on our agenda is public comments. We will now open the floor for public comments. I think we may have one visitor virtually, and I have asked for comments, so I will give 1 additional minute for the comments there. While we're waiting, I'll just ask, are there any sporting activities or anything coming up that our students are participating in?
Oh, yeah, how much? I don't know.
We have bowling this week. We have 2 meets, one on Thursday afternoon and one on Saturday. They're both at Brown Dare Lanes if anybody's free.
We have a girls' basketball game tonight, so I'm sure they'll be playing when we're finished here. Tomorrow we have swim. Middle school boys basketball at Lake Shore. Swim dive team at Cudahy. We have the holiday music concert tomorrow. We have wrestling at South Milwaukee. That's Wednesday. Let's see, Thursday, yes, high school bowling versus Sussex at 3:45. We have a middle school boys basketball game and then wrestling on Thursday. Friday, high school boys at Cudahy. We have high school wrestling. Girls basketball, I think they're here. The girls are here and the boys are at Cudahy. So then Saturday we have swim. We have our DECA students are at the district competition. I don't know where they are though. I'm not sure where they are. I'll figure that out. I think it's in Racine. Then we have boys swim, we have wrestling, bowling, basketball, and concert choir.
That's next week then? Keep going, or wait.
Sorry, what?
Doubling back.
Tomorrow is the concert, You're right, tomorrow, the 14th is a big concert.
Okay, also the fun day that they're having at the field house.
No, that's later.
That's the 28th, 29th.
Okay.
End of the month.
And then I saw that one of our boys wrestlers was featured on Fox 6.
The Hay, his first name escapes me.
Max.
Max Hay, and this is a whole team family that wrestled. Yes, they were featured on Fox 6 News on Sunday night at 10:30, 10:30-ish, 10:45-ish.
Nice.
So, yes, it's a lot going on in a good way.
Absolutely.
So. All right,
That's
that's it.
very good. Thank you so very much. And I don't see any public comments, so we will proceed at this time to the consent agenda. May I get a motion for the approval of the consent agenda? Oh, man. No, we need the full motion.
Yeah.
So I move that we, pay for. Oh, they're on 4C, okay. All right, how about this? I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda, including the minutes of the November 8th, 2022 special board meeting, November 14th, 2022 special board meeting, November 22nd, 2022 regular board meeting, and the schedule of voucher payment via check, ACH, and wire transfers in the amount of $1,364 and $1,364,216,044 in the general checking account and the food service account, including funds 10, 21, 27, 39, 46, 50, and 80, and the December 13th, 2022 school safety drill update as presented.
Thank you, Daniel Ashley. And the second? That from,
Second, Ms. Megan.
okay. All right.
Just
should we
to be
do the-
clear, can you reread the number?
I will reread the. To be clear, we'd like to.
Just the total amount, just. to
Oh,
clarify
okay,
that.
wire transfers in the amount of $1,364,216.44.
There you go. Love day, right?
All right, so are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, ayes have it, 6-0. Up next, items for discussion, consideration, and possible board action. A, approval of turf tank lease agreements. Is that you, Mr. Clement?
That is me and Mr. Russ as well. So I did provide an executive summary in the packet. And I won't read it to you, but just to give you a quick overview of what we're looking at. We've had a challenge of having, fully staffed groundskeepers. We had lost a groundskeeper over the summer. We just hired another one that started a week and a half ago, last Monday. Who's doing a great job, but one of the challenges with the groundskeeping in our district is just that we have a lot of athletic fields and there's a lot of paint striping that goes on for all these different activities. And right now we have a push behind striper that requires several people to do setup to make sure the lines are run with string and straight and all that. And then it's quite an ordeal to get each area done in time, especially like I said, if it takes a considerable amount of time for that person, 15 to 25 hours a given week, depending on how many activities are in place, because we have not only the football field, which everyone knows that sort of takes the longest, but we have several soccer fields, we have football practice field, baseball, softball. So all of those combined, and there's track when we have outdoor track meets to do areas as well. So there's a number of things that we are responsible for doing, and it does take up a lot of time. And Matt will attest to this because our groundskeeper was available the last time the football field had to be striped. And when you have people that don't, get to stripe very often, it's even more of a challenge. So one of the things we did look at over the summer, or we talked about, was potentially looking at this new technology, which is, I know it's going to sound a little weird, but there is a striping robot that is available that will once the company comes and helps us map out the field, basically you drive the robot into some area of the field, you select what the field is and tell it what kind of markings you want, and you say go, and it goes and does it. And it'll do it at a much faster pace, much more efficient. It allows our groundskeeper then to do other things while that's happening. And not against any of the groundskeeper, but the quality of the work is significantly better because it uses less paint and the lines are straight all the time, and there's no kind of weaving back and forth, because otherwise it's a manual process to go through and try to do it. And if you look down the lines, you go. So it was one of the things we wanted to look at, and we brought him in for a demo after football season was over. It was a nice, misty, rainy day. We were standing out on the football field and brought it out, and it was able to do everything. And it'll do it in a light to moderate rain as well, so that can happen. You really have to stand out there as well to get it done. But we thought it was a pretty neat thing, and it is something that is starting to be to move into more of the school district market. I listed in there several of the school districts in our area and across the state that are starting to implement this technology. And then they did reach out to us because they have a pricing increase coming up after the first year, and they offered us a discount to get involved now. They are trying to expand their market in Wisconsin. So what this is this is a 6-year agreement with them. They own the machine. They take care of all the service. They can provide parts to us automatically. And there's also a paint allowance that's included every year. As part of that, it's a discount the first year, and then it goes up to their standard rate, which is $15,000 a year. Still significantly less than a groundskeeper and other pieces. And we do have the ability that if we review it and we don't feel like we have the funds going forward to do it, we can provide them a 90-day notice on the end of a lease, and we can turn it in at the end of that current period. So this is something that we would be starting. We wouldn't we would sign the agreement now, but we wouldn't actually take ownership or take possession of the unit until spring. And then that's when the clock would start with the lease. So it actually would be basically a spring thing that we'd be looking at going forward. So we'd be able to make a decision after the fall to decide, if we're ready to continue to use it going forward. But I'll let Matt share some of his insight, because it was a pretty, I think it was a pretty interesting demo. And there is a link on the PDF that if you took a few minutes to look at it, it shows you what it looked like in action. But I'll let Matt offer some insight as well.
Well, as far as insight is concerned, we all know what our football field looks like. During the demo, the gentleman came here and he decided that he wanted to demo just the outside and every 10 yards and our end zone. So in order to do that, for our guy, for our groundskeeper to do it, that would have taken him one person an obscene amount of time, about 4 hours. And the only reason why I know that is because that's how long it took me. Because when he was not available, the last game of the season, I had to go out there and I had to figure out what this machine could do. So I had to learn a machine that I had never even done before and paint the football field. And I got super dirty, I'm not gonna lie. But it took 4 hours just for me to get the exterior, the end zone, and every 10-yard marker after that. That wasn't including the 5-yard markers, the hash marks in between and all that. It took me about 4 hours and about 15 gallons of paint. That was me mixing paint, so it's a 1-to-1 ratio. This gentleman came in here, he set up the GPS coordinates on his stand. And while me, Kevin, and Benny Johnson were down there having a conversation with him, in a matter of 20 minutes and 2.5 gallons of paint later, we had an outline of our football field and 2 end zones and every 10-yard marker. Now, I can do math, but 2.5 gallons versus 15. That's a lot of paint. It took him 20 minutes to do something that took me 4 hours. And that wasn't including the cleanup that I had to do and everything else. He said that we could potentially have our whole football fields with every 5 yards, every hash mark. It wouldn't include, I'm just saying, not including all the numbers and whatnot. We could have that done in an hour. And 5 gallons of paint. Versus the 20, I think it was like 22 gallons it took to do an entire football field.
Does it do the numbers too?
It can do the numbers. We can program it to do whatever we would like. If we just wanted to, for just time saving and paint saving, just do regular lines, because we do have cones at every 10 yards and 5, I think it's every 5 and 10 yards. We do have orange cones that sit alongside, so we don't necessarily have to do the numbers. We do that as, kind of a show. But we can do them, and it's programmed to do it. We can do it with or without. The only thing that it adds is, I think it adds like another 40 minutes to the whole program.
They're also what they recommend too is that you could do it in outline or filled in version. So if you just want them outlined, they could be outlined, or you could do them outlined. And then you could also use a hand sprayer to, fill in really quickly, as opposed to having the unit do it, because the width of the stripe is so small that to actually fill in the numbers using the machine, that would take a little bit longer, but it'd be very simple to go out there with the hand sprayer, which we also have as well.
So in terms of application, so how
Yeah.
often?
How often?
Yeah, how often from the
How
time,
often?
yeah.
Well, our old groundskeeper spent an average of 20 to 25 hours a week of his own time just painting paintings.
Fall is obviously the biggest time, because you have football and soccer.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
still during the summer, he was spending an average of 10 hours a week doing painting.
Hmm.
And that was for the practice football, the soccer fields, the baseball fields. All of our summer sports. He was spending an average of 10 hours a week.
Jeez. Sounds like another market out there for some paint that's gonna last longer than a week, right?
Well, part of it is when you mow the grass, then, you know,
Yeah.
it wears out too, so it's part of the, it's kind of.
It's one of
If the summer grass is really growing and then it gets cut off, then you have to.
So
Herein lies my question. I'm noticing that they include $3,000 worth of paint
Mhm.
in the quote here. So is that reasonable? Do you guys, is that reasonable for all that you have to do throughout the entire school year?
I say, is that enough?
Well, that's what I'm
The
asking.
thing
Is that
is,
enough?
we
Yeah.
actually went through quite a bit of paint. I'm not exactly sure because there's. I know towards the end of the year, we had. I think currently right now we have 9 5-gallon buckets sitting downstairs right now.
Yeah.
Because we over ordered one pallet of paint that we had and then went through and then we ordered extra.
And I think a good question to ask them before completely signing is what happens if you don't and you need more paint than what has been allocated in the contract? What would be the cost of something like that? What would that look like?
Yeah, there is an option to get additional paint. I mean, I think they do this thinking you're gonna be very close to the amount that you're gonna need, because again, that what's hard to predict a little bit until we start actually utilizing it is just the difference in what our ratio is going through paint now using our push behind. As Matt mentioned, he used, 15 gallons of paint and we did the same thing with 2.5.
Right.
So, I think we're gonna be in a much better place. We're gonna end up saving considerable money in paint, whether it comes to exactly the 3,000 or it's a little bit different. I think we're still gonna save.
You're
Money.
comfortable with that?
Yeah, I'm very
Cause
comfortable.
we're buying the paint anyway, so it just be a
Right.
matter of buying less paint.
And so I will also make mention is that besides doing the football field, the or football, the baseball, the soccer, and any other event that we have going out here, this thing can also be programmed to do our parking lots.
Oh.
We do need some.
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
This thing can be programmed to do our track field, which I don't know if you guys have seen the track field. It's not prime, but it's still there. But we can program it so that our people, our department can do the track field and make it and could do the upkeep instead of doing what we're gonna have to do, which is call a company in to get our track field back up to par.
Okay. So we're just looking at the man hours, is this gonna allow us to? Maybe I should go back, this is necessitated because we don't have enough people to do this.
I think in the past, we've been lucky, we've had a couple of groundskeepers, we've gone now over a year without being able to locate a second one, so this will delay our need for that, right, we're not really, I mean, because so much of that was, because it is almost a 2-man job to start that process, like the first time you set up a field, that's when you're laying string and you're doing all this, and you're measuring and making sure that everything is correct, and after that, you're more or less tracing where you were. And, if you're off, you continue to be off, but the joy, I mean, really for what he did, like I said, he came in there and within 20 minutes, based on the measurements of work, basically, as I said, as long as you don't move your goalposts, then your field is set up and he can, says, here's where it is, here it is, he picks a corner and then it's done. And that same programming can be used year after year after year. And so the initial piece, which is always the hardest, is much simpler, and then every other pass afterwards is also.
And they came and looked at all of our areas.
They saw, yeah, he was walking around the whole.
They looked at the parking lot and the track too. And then also, so if we're freeing up this task, will we take that off of the job description so that maybe we have a?
Well, he'd still be responsible for doing it, for setting up, and he goes and does it, but while he's doing that, he could be picking up trash in the football area, he could be working on bleachers, he could be doing something else in the area. He doesn't have to be, doing that particular task.
But anyone we hire, like if we hired in the future, you wouldn't need that specified
No.
skill set,
No,
like to get it together.
No, everything is done by a tablet. So you literally, the hardest part is going to be walking behind the machine while operating it to, getting it to the general location of where you need it to be, setting up the GPS stand and hitting start.
And how many people would you train? We just have one groundskeeper, so.
Well, we have one groundskeeper, but we will train multiple
Okay,
people
so we don't run.
because of the fact that we don't have multiple groundskeepers, so people like me, probably Betty Johnson.
I could, well, Dr. Brown's already volunteered, she's ready to go out there.
I train our wonderful superintendent.
Okay.
The nice part is that it'll be very easy and self-explanatory. The other perk about this is that they're located out of Madison. So if for some reason that this machine were to go down, say Thursday night, we're trying to set up the paint machine to press go. And it doesn't work. I call this gentleman, he can be here the next morning with one of their own machines, plug in our program, hit go, paint our lot and leave.
And that's in contract, that type of.
That is part of the contract.
Yeah, they'll give us a loaner if necessary.
That's
Correct.
Okay.
We have no responsibility for the unit other than not damage, but anything that breaks, all the annual maintenance that has to be done, I'll take care of as part of the package.
And I would just add from the standpoint of efficiency, I mean, if you're here and you're watching our groundskeeper out there, it's some pretty heavy lifting that goes on. But the other piece is when they're out there doing the work on the football field, soccer field, baseball, when they're out there doing it, something else is not happening. And this is an opportunity for the fields to be painted with some clarity. I'm one for like the lines, that to me is a part of our school district being aesthetically pleasing as well when we're navigating our district. But I think that will help our custodians know that we're providing some additional support for them to be able to work efficiently as well. So this is one step in the right direction, or one step, in the right direction, I would say, in terms of addressing some of their needs as well. And training multiple people is going to be a big piece of that.
And you're seeing several other districts at our conference even that are trying to this year. I know they're being very aggressive. Turf Tank this is a relatively new space for them into the, like K-12 districts. I mean, if you search for Turf Tank on Google, you'll see stories about, the University of Alabama and other big institutions that use these things, but now they're trying to get them into these, smaller situations. And I think with their pricing, they're trying to do it and they're getting these other school districts to line up as well. I think they see the advantage of having that more efficient process in place. So.
And the other thing is that, not that it matters to us, but even on a gloomy gray night, like tonight, I could go out there, put it in the area and hit start and no one would even know that the machine's painting. Because it doesn't
What
need
about
to
that
have.
noise factor? How does it sound when it's painting?
It's
Does it-
very quiet, you barely hear it.
Hmm.
You barely hear it, the most you hear is a little bit of a chatter from the painting shields over the grass. It's pretty remarkable, I'm not gonna lie. If you get a chance, there is a link to the.
I did, I took a look at it. I saw,
So,
yeah, I saw it.
It's a pretty amazing machine. And like I said, we were out there and it was raining. I wouldn't say it was coming down hard. But it was enough where, we should have had umbrellas, but we didn't. And it was painting it with no problems.
That's AI for you, artificial intelligence. Here it is.
Right.
Right. Any other question? All right. Can we get a motion to approve this contract?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve the 6-year current paint lease agreement as presented.
All right, thank you very much, Mrs. Peterson. Can I get a second? I'll second. Thank you very much, Mrs. Walker. Any other discussions on this point? Okay, all in favor? With aye? Aye, any opposed? All right, ayes have it, 6-0. Motion carries. Good luck, have fun with that, maybe we can even get some students to get involved. That's a good thing.
I'll invite you all for the first football painting party.
Sound like it'll be a short party though.
Yeah, there you go.
Don't be a short party, that's the only problem.
We can make it do all of it.
Yeah, we'll do everything
We'll,
first.
we'll do the hour-long one.
All right, very good. Up next is discussion of the 2023 WASB State Convention proposed resolutions. Who's presenting on that?
I can just mention that, Donna uploaded the proposed 2023 resolution to board book, and normally, what we do is, we discuss any of the resolutions that you think might be of concern, or that the board thinks might be of concern. Who's our delegate? Felita, you're a delegate? I am. Okay, and so when, Felita comes to the convention in January, and she has the consensus of the board as it relates to how you would like to, proceed and vote on each one of these resolutions. Now, what you could do is, continue to take a little time over the break to continue to read the resolution. We can bring it back as an agenda item for the January special board meeting, then you will be well prepared to vote at the convention on the 16th, 17th, 18th, somewhere in those days. So it's whatever your pleasure. Yes, you have a question.
Yes, I would like to allow folks to have a look and take a look at the resolutions, because there were very many of them. I think I got through 6 of them. But I mean, I think that this is the type of thing that we want to do our due diligence on, because there's some pretty meaty resolutions that were contained that is being brought forth by WASB. And so, just in an effort for everyone to have a look and take a deep dive, I would like an opportunity to take this time to review the resolutions being brought forth, and then, having a nice discussion in terms of how we'd like to vote as a collective in January.
Yeah, and if there's anything that folks don't approve or that would not want to pass, then we would need to let her know that prior to the convention. So is there a consensus that we need to have a little more time to review those? Yes. Okay. All right, so we will table those until our special board meeting in January. So please make sure that you look through all of those and are prepared to discuss those. There's some that I was like surprised that needs to be a resolution, like. So.
Well, remember, that is these are the guiding principles that the WASB legislative advocacy staff, utilize to have their conversations with the legislature and the governor. So sometimes things may seem obvious, but they get brought to light because we're putting, the WASB putting specific emphasis on those at this particular time. So that is what this is. This is what lets the legislative, lets the WASB staff know what the organization wants and what they want them to fight for. And get a budgetary purposes.
All right, very good.
So special board meeting January, yes?
Yes. Okay, up next is the discussion of New Life Community Church Village Academy lease.
Yes, Ms. Robinson, Dr. Vito asked us to place this as an agenda item on this board meeting, and since he's not here, I'm gonna ask that we table it to the January special board meeting. This was Dr. Vito's agenda item.
Okay. And
This is in regards to.
yeah, I don't know if there needs to be a lot of discussion, but okay. We can table it till then. All right, up next, the safety and security update.
Yes, as I mentioned earlier, we had 2 meetings for both buildings, the middle high school and the elementary school. The first one was December 1st, the second one was December 8th. District administration as well as principals and APs were a part of discussions that evening. This handy dandy handout was provided to each one of our families as they arrived on that day, and I'll just provide a few, will not go into detail about the safety updates, but just wanted to share with the public all that we discussed on those 2 nights. Also, we talked about our school entrances, our Raptor visitor management system that is now up and running. We now have Gaggle at in grades 3 through 5 at the elementary school, and then 6 through 12 at the middle high school, which is a tool that helps us identify students who are in need of assistance if they are being bullied or if students are imposing any self-harm to themselves. We have had probably about, let's say 4 or 5 Gaggle notices. And so it provides opportunity for us as administrators to follow up with the students immediately to provide any support if needed, or to quell a situation if necessary, to bring resolution to it. And so that seems to be going over really well. The Brown Deer Police Department is a part of Gaggle, and so they also receive the alerts in after hours. What's our after hours time, Kira?
After 4.
After 4 o'clock.
Weekend.
And on the weekends, it goes to the Brown Deer Police Department. So that's up and running. At the high school, we have under Ms. Brown's leadership, Minga, which is an electronic system for hall passes, which works really well. And the only individuals who can assign the hall passes to our students are our teachers. However, adults who are in the hallways, supervising students are able to look at their phones and say, hey, Johnny, I see you're in the hallway. Let me see if you have a Minga pass. They can look students up right away. And if they have a pass, they proceed to wherever they're going. If they do not have a pass, that's a different conversation. And so we redirect the students to get them back to wherever they're supposed to be. So again, Minga is only, those are their school IDs and hall passes. And that's only at the high school. We have a group of district and school administrators who went through CSAG, which is a comprehensive school threat assessment to understand our approach to violence prevention. It emphasizes early attention to problems, again, such as bullying, teasing, and other forms of student conflict. So we had a team go through that. As you well know, we have contracted with safety aide, Ms. Kimber, who's in our building every day, in the middle high school every day. Her hours are 7:30 to 3:30. She's been a wonderful asset to our buildings. We have a fully updated emergency plan that was approved by the board. As you know, the Brown Deer Police Department reviews our plan as well. Reviews, signs off on the plan, as well as the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Department. So we are finished with that. We also know, and thank you to the board for approving our Halo system, the smart sensor system in locations where we are unable to place cameras. And I'm not sure what do we have an implementation date for that?
So we just put in
To install them
in order for the cameras, and so we're trying to do there's a little delay on the cameras. We have the sensors, but to save money on labor, we're gonna try and install them together. So hopefully in the new year, early.
So we don't have cameras in those areas already?
We have some, but there are some locations where the boys and the girls' bathrooms are in different locations without a camera on them. So like pointing near the door or at the door, so. In the middle school, they designed them so that the bathroom doors are similar, so you just need one camera to point on it, so.
And then our school resource officer, Officer Oleg, we pay a portion of his salary. And then what's new this year is we are having monthly safety meetings with district administration, building administration every PL day to discuss what may have transpired between last month and this month that we might have to shore up. or do better in that particular area, and then continue conversations around what we're already implementing, so that is new. And we're continuing to having conversations about the Yonder pouch for cell phones. And we had a Zero Eyes presentation last Friday on our PO day. And that's the AI system that recognizes weapons when they're being brandished. And we're continuing to move forward with safety and security is continuous improvement. It's all day, every day. So we're continuing to work in those spaces. So those were the safety updates that were provided to families who attended on those 2 days, and then they also had an opportunity to ask questions. They chose to. And they also had an opportunity, there was a QR code that was presented to all of our families where if they wanted to ask questions, they could scan the QR code and type their questions, and then it will be uploaded to a Google Doc. So we're moving in the right direction in safety and security. And those are my updates. That space, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
All right, very good. Any questions for Dr. Brown?
That was something that you sent out to everyone also, correct? All of the parents?
It's,
I think I saw it.
I think Courtney sent, I have prompted Courtney to send it out, I believe in the next newsletter that's going out to parents. If you received it already, awesome. Excellent. But it is coming your way if you've not already received it. We wanted everyone in the district to have a copy of this infographic. Did you get it?
I saw it somewhere.
Yeah, you sent it via email.
You might have just sent it.
Excellent. It's so hard.
I might have got.
Came though.
Right, so I said I might have.
We got it, I think, as a Skylar. I think it went out to all staff.
Yeah, I think.
Okay, I know staff, oh, and then you all are on that, got it.
The board members are on that as well, so.
Okay, that's how that happened, got it. So the parents district-wide haven't received it yet, but it's going out of the newsletter, so, yes.
What portion of the SRO or percentage do we fund as opposed to the village fund any other portions?
Yeah.
I would have. Any other questions?
All right, very good. Thank you very much, Dr. Brown.
Yeah, well.
Up next is discussion of the February 18th, 2023 Winter Board Retreat.
Yes, and I included a brief executive summary around that, and essentially what we would like to propose is to move the February 18th board retreat to February 25th. Our administrators are out on that Friday because of parent-teacher conferences, and I would like to give them that chance to decompress rather than having to come back on that Saturday for the board retreat. And so the proposed date is moved from, the proposed date is February 25th. So move from February 18th to February 25th. That gives us a little more time to plan for the board retreat, as we're working to get our new district accountability, assessment and accountability coordinator up to speed, being prepared for that as well. So,
What was the time on it, please?
9 to noon.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're looking for a motion?
I don't think it's, I don't think you have to make a motion if you all could check your calendars and if you're available. And we have the entire board, majority of the board on the 25th. Hopefully hopefully everyone.
Thanks.
Okay, so any questions or concerns with moving that date?
Everybody good?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And I will share it with administrators on Monday. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Welcome.
Okay, moving on, item number 6, board reports, starting with SWSA and legislative update.
Well, I did listen in on the meeting that we had last week. And there was a lot of talk about the proposed bills that are going on right now. And then there was also something very interesting. There was a guest speaker from Children's Hospital, and there's a new mental health clinic that is available through Children's Hospital. and it's a walk-in clinic. And I don't know if you wanted to add anything, but it seemed very interesting and a very good idea as a resource for families.
Reach out to them right away to see if they can have an on-site mental health clinic right here, right here. So, Ms. Ramos will be meeting with them, in the new year to see if that's something we could take advantage of, to have an on-site mental health clinic here on campus. So we'll see what that brings, in January. And the other piece was around, the number of new legislators who have been elected to their seats. And so navigating the K-12 landscape will look very different as they come back into session in the new year, because there's so many new ones. And so it's going to be incumbent upon us to educate our new people in the K-12 education space as it relates to what the needs really are for additional resources to support our students and staff in the K-12 space. A good portion of the conversation is centering around increasing special education funding, mental health. And can you remember the third one? I can't remember the third one. Those are the two that stand out to me the most. So it will be a lot of education that will be needed and necessary because of all of the new legislators. And just keep in mind, we have a $6.9 billion rainy day fund. And so what we learned at that particular meeting was, in essence, the state could fund every request that has been put in, from healthcare, education, to all of the other entities that were put in a budget request. Now, we know that it's highly likely probably will not happen. But nevertheless, getting them to understand, one, ESSER dollars are those are one-time dollars. It will not help us sustain anything. The likelihood that school districts will experience a fiscal cliff is pretty high. And we need increased dollars to sustain what we're trying to do in school districts, not to mention our needs are expanding and our resources are not. So there's something to keep in mind, as we have not received dollars in the last two biennium. Yeah, the last one. So no increase, nothing, $0 increase in the last biennium. So we are writing a letter, as WSA membership, we're writing letters to create a common language around what the ask is for our legislators, and I'll be more than happy to share it with the board. I think what's going to be important is for boards to also write a letter in the spirit of advocacy, requesting additional dollars for schools.
Have we as a district ever met with our representatives?
Kevin and I met with Deb and Draka early spring of this year. We had several calls into Alberta Darling's office. And as we know, she retired. We did not get a response from Alberta Darling's office. Those are the two but we had a great conversation with Deb and Draka around K-12 education. She is a former teacher herself. And her aide is a board member in Whitefish Bay. So they were very responsive, and we didn't know what the budget was going to look at that point, so they really couldn't give us any insight into, where we were going with the budget. But yes, we do. I've had a conversation with her. So I think the conversations continue. The advocacy has to continue.
Yeah.
I would encourage you to, if you could take time to, if they do the day at the Capitol, that is a wonderful experience where the legislators are there. You can really get a good sense of what their mindset is around funding K-12 education. So I think it was a great experience for me. I went with Kevin, was a board member at the time. We went up, and it's a good experience. At least it gives you some idea, like, we know what the mindset is, and that's on both sides of the aisle. So.
And I think just a reminder too, is that historically, we've also had a lot of meetings with Dan Total, who was our representative until this year. And he's running for Senator Darling's seat. He's one of the people running, so if he would end up winning, we do have a relationship with him from over the years when he was there, so.
I met with them last year.
We did, yeah, before the districts thing became, and then the important thing to remember again is that Brown Deer is divided it this year, so now we have 2 assembly districts and 2 senate districts, so it's not within the village, we've got 4 representatives now instead of 2, so.
Let's meet everybody.
Gotta, yeah, so you're following, so.
All of, right?
So are there any questions I can ask? You, sir?
All right, very good. On next to the WASB update.
So, the early bird registration ends this Thursday. So if we have not already registered, and I'm thinking, Donna in the district is gonna register us all by Thursday for those who are going, just want to put that out there. This month's legal and legislative video updates are online, and in fact, that there will be an actual webinar scheduled for tomorrow at noon. And speaking about the governor, so the governor is going to be holding listening sessions, probably addressing some of the stuff that is coming out of your committee in terms of what you want to see contained in his budget. Because he will be doing a state of the state address in January. It's January 24th. And that budget message will be February 15th. So those will be 2 interesting things to kind of listen, especially with an ear to how funds are flowing down from the state into school districts. And that pretty much concludes my report.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Ashley. Up next is the Ed Foundation report. Not a lot to report there. Not really any different from what I reported last month. We are continuously raising funds for the scholarship, so just coming up with different ways and creative ways to encourage those contributions from our current and former families. So looking forward to those opportunities. Scholarships will be opening up probably in February, so be on the lookout for that information if you have young people or know young people who may need a scholarship or want to apply for those scholarships. Be on the lookout for that information. And Parks and Recreation.
Parks and Recreation did not meet again. My understanding is they won't meet again until January.
Okay. All right. Very good. Next. The board planning calendar. So Dr. Brown mentioned the December 19th, that strategic planning meeting. And then December 21st is the virtual joint meeting with Village at 5 o'clock. Winter break is December 21st through January 2nd. So hopefully our folks will get some much needed R&R and family time during that break. January 3rd is the first day back for the students. January 10th is special board meeting. 16th is MLK holiday, so no school. The district office will be closed that day. And then the education convention will be January 18th through the 20th. And then you'll see there the remainder of January items as well. Any questions, any other events that should be there that we may have missed? Got everything there, right? Okay. Next, I would like to get a motion to enter into closed session.
I will make a motion to enter into closed session to discuss personnel matters and to confer with legal counsel regarding litigation pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute 19.85, 1C and G.
All right, thank you, Ms. Walker, for that motion. And can we get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Macon, for your second. And we will now go into roll call vote. Ito. Daniels Ashley, aye. Megan, aye. Peterson,
Aye.
Robinson, aye. Smith,
Hi.
And Martha.
Aye.
And the vote is 6 to all 6 board members that are present. And the time is 7:01.
So we will go into closed session at 7:01 PM. Thank you to everyone who attended tonight's meeting. I hope that you all enjoy the holiday season and that you are don't eat too much. I'm gonna say reluctantly because I know I probably will. All right, so thank you. We will adjourn at this time and after closed session. We won't be coming back into open session, so we can close out our virtual session at this time.